Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Locker Room Podcast. I'm Daryl Natil, and I'm excited because, hold on. We got somebody coming in. Hold on. Welcome to the Locker Room Podcast. I'm Daryl Natil, and I'm excited because football is winding down on the college side, and we're going to break down University of Miami and Indiana, the big game tomorrow down in Miami. But before we do that, let me introduce my guests. First of all, in the top middle, one of the top coaches in Central Florida, Mr. Derry Evans from Sanford Seminole. Say hello, Derry.
How y'all doing?
Big time coach on the right side, man. He's coaching at Hutchinson, right? In community college. DJ Mayo. Say hello, DJ.
I'm at Grovetown High School in Augusta.
You at Grovetown High School in Georgia. You be all over the place. Okay, I'm sorry. Underneath him, we got former UMDB, former Cleveland Brown, former Dallas Cowboy. He won the Grey Cup this year in Saskatchewan. Sheldrick Redwine. Say hello, Sheldrick.
What's going on, everybody?
All right, down in the bottom, former Wildcat quarterback, former Maryland Buccaneer, Dr. Devin Bradley. Say hello, Devin.
Hello, everybody.
In the middle, this young man right here has been my prayer partner for over 20 years. 20 years been my prayer partner. He's coaching college football right now at Clark, Atlanta. He was the #1 draft pick for the St. Louis Cardinals, played with the Seahawks, and played with the Dolphins. My prayer partner, Mr. EJ Jr. Say hello, EJ.
What's up, D? What's going on?
All right, good to see you, my fella. Hey, but before we get going, I got a young man who I've known for a few years. When I do my shows here in Daytona Beach, he comes down and he performs for me. He's down in Rockledge, Florida. Say hello to Aaron Odom. Hello, Aaron.
What up, y'all?
I want you to put something out there for us before we start the show, man. Can you do something for us?
Of course. Let's make sure y'all can hear this real quick.
We got you. Let's go.
All right. Can y'all hear that?
Yeah, we got you. Let's go.
No, did you hear the music start?
No, we don't hear the music. We hear you, though.
Okay, hold on. I gotta get the music right. I might have to just put it through the speakers.
Just put it through the speaker.
All right, hold up.
Aaron is a big-time performer. He's out of Boston. The first time I saw him, I swore he was kin to Michael Bivins. Man. Bill, Bill. Look at it. Now, tell me you don't look like Michael Bivins. Watch this.
Yo, you did me crazy on that, bro. All right. Dang, hold on. Let me share the screen one more time because I'm trying to get it right for everybody.
Don't even like Michael Bivins.
Here we go. Share entire screen. System audio. Boom. Share. All right, hold on. Y'all should be able to.
You don't got to share no screen. All you do is just go for what you know.
Y'all can't even hear that, huh?
No, we don't hear you.
I'm just gonna put it through the speakers then because. But if y'all talk, it's gonna get feedback. So let me just let you know.
All right, let's go.
All right, hold on. Boom. Oh, we're not gonna get it like that, but we might not. Yeah.
Here we go.
Focus in motion, mentally evolving. I focus emotions and physically dissolving. I'm not scoping what's fiscally unimportant. I'm not stopping till I beat the game that I've been forced.
I stay in fear of straight line. I'm only inch. Hold on. It threw me off. Yeah. My audio right. It's all good.
You the technician.
I gotta stay focused in motion and mentally evolving. I focus emotions and physically dissolving. I'm not scoping what's fiscally unimportant. I'm not stopping till I beat the game that I've been forced in. I live in fear of a straight line. I really don't care what you hear through the grapevine or who's on your date line. I'm only influenced by great minds. I guess it's just a question of taste. I'm aiming for the stars cause I know they real. I've been living in the dark in the open field. I wasn't playing from the start, now it's overkill. Y'all been playing with my heart, now I know the spell. I've mastered every trash game, I'm Son Raku, brother of Moses, the rap game's young apostle. Son Ratu, I'm trying to own land so the program don't apply to me and my crew, me and my boo.
Booking different trainers that we can fly to. Even when I'm whipping, I stay in a fly mood. Cause I knew the sky's truth. We in the Truman Show. That's why I'm staying with a superhuman glow.
Stay focused, in motion and mentally evolving. I focus emotions and physically dissolve. I'm not scoping what's fiscally unimportant. I'm not stopping till I beat the game that I've been forced in. And you know I'm taking no days off. Well, maybe on a leap year. If y'all hi-hats, I'm a deep snare. Look like linebackers while I sneak in. Now I'm reaching the final levels, defeating all kind of devils. My mind crafting these mind crafts. And you don't got a shovel when the wine's splashing. The wine glass is probably trouble. If I buy hash and it's not fresh, it's probably bubble. I'ma need a hottie and a body double. I'ma leave in a Ferrari, they probably gon' fumble. Y'all can have the Maserati, Pagani. I love you, I'ma keep riding above you. I'm just a guy that disgusts you. Trying to live outside the algorithm. Why y'all double down the system? Crashing out about the mission. Activism, opposition, click, clack, get back. This map, stop the vision. Ha, kill all distractions, I'm not gonna listen. I gotta stay focused, in motion and mentally evolving. I focus emotions and physically dissolve. I'm not scoping what's fiscally unimportant. I'm not stopping till I beat the game that I've been forced. Stay focused, in motion and mentally evolving. I focus emotions and physically dissolve. I'm not scoping what's fiscally unimportant. I'm not stopping till I beat the game that I've been forced to.
Yeah. That's Aaron Odom's, Michael Bivens' little cousin. That's Michael Bivens' little cousin. Look at him. That's that's Aaron Odom. We're gonna bring Aaron back on at the end, but we want to jump into the conversation tonight. You know, I was down in Miami earlier this week, and I saw this sign right here: "Drive safe, Indiana fans. Beware, hurricane warning." Oh man, it's a lot of chatter going on about tomorrow night. We got the Canes and Indiana. First, I want to go to my coach, DJ Mayo. DJ, what's your take on what we're going to see tomorrow night?
I think for Indiana, how do they choose to protect the quarterback? They do a lot of RPO. Sometimes with the RPO, if you get beat backside, you know, that one-on-one block quarterback can get strip sacked. Miami, you know, has the best front four in the country, which is why they're so successful. So looking forward to seeing how they handle it. They don't do as much tempo as Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss's tempo is why they kind of were able to neutralize the Miami pass rush. I think Miami's going to run the ball. I don't think they ran it enough against Ole Miss, to be honest. They got the best O-line in the country, too. So I think they're going to lean on that. I got Indiana winning, but I think it's going to be a physical game.
Okay. You know, you talked about the running game. Talk to us about the running game, Derek.
Yeah, like he said both programs got a great running game. The O-lines know how to lean on people. Mark Fletcher and the backup running back, they run real hard for Miami. Indiana got two real good backs too. So whoever can control the front on both sides going to control the game. So I'm not picking Indiana. I'm going to pick Miami in a close one.
You talked about the running backs from Miami. We got Mark Fletcher and you got Chamar Brown. You know, Chamar Brown won a national championship with North Dakota, and he transferred over to UM. So he's been on the big time for a while. So let's go down to EJ Jr. What's your take, EJ?
I think it's going to be probably one of the best national championship games in a while. One of the things you have to understand, all the four coaches that were in the last two playoff games, all were Nick Saban disciples. So they play the same type of ball, the same type of mentality. They believe in winning in the trenches, having sound defense. The edge with Indiana is that they're very disciplined. They aren't going to beat themselves. So what it's going to have to take, they're going to probably go through their running game, but they're going to go through a short passing game to neutralize the pass rush of Jason Taylor in that D line. But they also have, Miami has that one, I can't think of the young man, the wide receiver who does a little bit of everything. He is going to be the main, I guess, target, because he has the ability to break open the game. And then whoever special team is the most sound is going to basically have that edge. I'm going to lean towards, I think it's going to be a close game, but I still think that UM will pull it out because of just experience and Mario Cristobal and some of the people who have been involved with that program, being young, new and fresh. If they don't make mistakes, they can win this game.
You know, before we go to Devin, you talked about Alabama. What do you know about Alabama, man? Tell us about what you know about Alabama.
What I know about Alabama, they shouldn't have been in the playoffs this year. They really did not. You know, just being truthful. When you look at the teams who were in the playoffs, they were very sound defensively. Alabama was very sporadic. You could tell when they lost to Oklahoma earlier in the season, then had that breakdown versus Georgia. I really do believe, and I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I hate Notre Dame with a passion, but I do like Marcus. What he's done, he recruited my son to Cincinnati before he went to the Notre Dame. But actually, Notre Dame should have been in the playoffs instead of Alabama this year. But notice the teams who succeeded. The ones who were real physical. Ohio State got beat by Miami because they were physical. Indiana beat everybody because they were physical. You don't win football games without beating the tar out of your opponent. You know, you win it, like Coach said earlier, you win it in the trenches. And right now, both of them have pretty good offensive lines and defensive lines. So when you look at what Alabama has done, they were good, but I just think they still don't have that physicality of the Nick Saban teams or the teams I played with in the past.
You know, you played at Alabama under Bear Bryant, so you know that Alabama system. Let's go over to D before we get to Shedrick. D, what's your take, baby?
Well, my take, just approaching it from the perspective where I come from, being a quarterback, leadership, the national championship really won't be decided by the best playbook. Both of the teams have their highs and lows throughout the season. Excellent calls, excellent athletes show up when the time matters the most, but it's going to be decided by the clearest minds under pressure. So when you look at Miami versus Indiana and you think about the schemes, the matchups, you know, the discipline versus the speed and athleticism of Miami, all that matters absolutely. But again, when that fourth quarter comes, if it's a competitive game and, you know, not a blowout one way or the other, because when them get carried away, those X's and O's are going to fade because the coaches are going to make the calls, the players are supposed to execute. So that leaves us with what's remaining. When that pressure peaks out, what quarterback is going to rise to the moment? And that's going to reveal who he's been and the character of who he is. So that's going to really take over. And Miami really has an emotional edge with being home, you know, having their home base. But that being an advantage that can get you hype and, you know, all that energy and enthusiasm coming into the game and during the game, it also can have you lose your edge because you're emotional, right? So Indiana has to stay aggressive, even though they're disciplined, they're on point, they're more mature, that can get you tight as well. So they have to find that balance. So when that championship pressure comes, it's going to not reveal the most talented team, but the team with the most character, from the head coach, the players, being able to reveal their preparation leading into this game, whether it be the preparation that they gain in lived experience through the season playing those games, but most importantly, this past week on the field and off the field, how they applied themselves. So I really think, looking at it again from the quarterback perspective, Miami QB thrives with rhythm and confidence. And you can really basically look at his eyes during the game and it's going to tell you, you know, how things are going. And so he fluctuates. So if it's on and popping, they're good to go. Mm-hmm. But if the rhythm gets thrown off, he's going to be in trouble. And the QB for Indiana, he's dealing with poise and discipline. And again, if you can rattle him and get them to adjust from their regular game plan, now the discipline that he has within the structure that he's used to, if they get Indiana to change, now Miami has the advantage. So I'm interested to see. I'm going to save my decision for later because I want to hear everybody else's input about Miami versus Indiana before I give my final decision.
All right. Cedric, you played in the program. You've been in that locker room. You know those guys. You know the hype that's going on. You were the guy that brought out that turnover chain back in the day. You've been there. What's the buzz and what's the word?
What's the buzz and what's the word? I mean, you know, everybody down here want Miami to win. I feel like if Miami can run the ball the same way they've been running the whole playoffs, you know, that's going to, like, you can run the ball, you're going to be able to execute everything. I feel like from the defensive side, just tackle, you know, from when I left, like,
the main thing I seen was just, other teams they'll miss tackles, but when Miami miss a tackle, they get 15 more extra yards. It just look a little worse when Miami miss tackles. So I feel like if the defense just rally how they've been doing, tackle, get the ball down, don't put too much on Carson Beck plate. You run the ball, get the ball to your playmakers in space, and don't put too much on Carson Beck plate. I'm gonna say 35-17, Miami.
The defense for Miami. You got Mr. Bain, the psycho himself, and you got Methodor. Those two guys, man, they're a handful. Tell us about them two.
They elite. Whenever you got two pass rushers, who can condense the pocket, especially versus Mendoza, because I feel like he his best when he able to extend the play, when he able to get outside the pocket, so he understand that when you got two guys who are able to condense the pocket and keep pressure on him, if he able to be, to where he them throw out, how like Ohio State game looked early, like their quarterback was shook early, throwing the ball out, how much pressure they got, so I feel like them two guys, they elite. Both of them probably gonna be first rounders, so it ain't no better time to prove it than right now.
Mendoza is from Miami. You got over 65 players from South Florida in this game. And Indiana has a top receiver also. We talked about Tony, but this guy here, Surratt, when he gets his hands on the football, he's dangerous out there. DJ, you talked about the Indiana offense, and you going Indiana. How potent can Indiana be if they get on the road?
So a lot of reasons for Miami's success, everybody's talking about the run game. They've been able to stop the run and keep two high safeties. They've been able to stop the run with a light box, and the corners have held up well. I think tomorrow they're going to have to bring a safety into the box. I think Indiana's got the most physical run game they've seen, and not just Surratt, but Becker, is also 6'4" on the other side. And I'm pretty sure Miami's got some injuries. They're going to be down some corners in the first half. Got some guys out with injury. So it's going to be a struggle. Them 50-50 balls, I think Indiana's going to win those, and I think that's going to be the difference in the game.
There, Miami had a great start to the season. They ran the football against Notre Dame. They run the football against most of the teams. So what do you think about the offensive in the trenches? The offensive line and the defensive line for Indiana. Indiana is the oldest team in college football, averaging 24 years of age.
Yeah, that experience they got gonna play a key factor. And you got older players, so they've been in those situations, that experience. So it's gonna be Miami has a big old line though. Indiana's a little smaller. It's gonna be interesting to see how they handle that big old line that Miami has, but it's gonna be a battle for sure. And I'm curious to see how Miami home crowd affects Indiana too. Then I'm curious to see how Cincinnati going against his old DC at James Madison is gonna match up too. So it's gonna be a key factor also.
Here's a big key factor right here. Are we gonna have some Miami fans in the game? Because they say Mark Cuban buying up all the tickets. Mark Cuban is a big alumnus from Indiana, so the ticket prices. Sheridan, where you gonna be, Sheridan? Home?
Be in the comforts of my bed.
Okay, we also looked at this year. The college football playoffs was really, really good this year. I think we got some matchups that really Oregon really was outmatching a few games. So EJ, tell us about the college football playoffs and what would you do to change it or tweak it?
Well, first of all, everybody has to understand, the SEC had most of the teams in the playoffs, but you have to understand the SEC beats up on each other every week, every time they play. Not to make an excuse for the SEC, but I still think that it really needs to not quite get like the NCAA March Madness with basketball, but I think it would have been better if they just had 16 teams. You leave it at 16 teams. The biggest disadvantage I saw is how do you have a first round bye and you never have a home game? Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
The top four teams had a bye, which means that they didn't, even though they were the didn't have a first round playoff, they never had home field advantage either. If you think about the revenue that was generated by the teams who were 5 through 8, they had home field advantage. They got to get the revenue coming to their own park, their own facilities, and that's one of the things that disturbed me. I'm like, well, I don't think anybody should have a bye. I think everybody should have. If you're the home team in the first round, you get that home field revenue. Even though I know there's shared revenue in the conferences, it will make it a level playing field, because when you don't get that first amount of money coming in, it makes a difference. I mean, just think about had Notre Dame been in it with home field advantage. Can you imagine how much revenue they already generate? That's one of the reasons they don't want to be part of a conference, because they want all those television dollars going into their program. So that would be the first thing I change. Nobody has a bye, because if you're going to be the home team, then now your bowl games are losing a lot of their luster, because now you have them so spread out. Then when you play in a bowl game, then you really don't get the revenue like you normally would get. It's shared revenue. So those are two big disadvantages, because the best teams in the conference, even though they had a bye, and you've noticed the teams that usually have a bye lose, because they lose that continuity, with the exception of what Indiana did this year. Most teams who had that bye, I think the record is 6-2 with loss, 2-6. So that's rare. When you have a bye, you lose. So
I think 1-7. I think Indiana's the only one.
Indiana was the only one. I was trying to remember, did somebody else win their home game? I don't think so. You're right. Because nobody, I mean, that's unusual when you get a bye and you lose that first round because you don't have that continuity. You're thinking about these guys haven't played a game in almost a month.
Right.
And then now you're trying to hold on to your crown, and you don't even with that, you don't have home field advantage. So I think they need to go to a 16-game season. A 16 team playoff. Make sure that the home teams do get some of that revenue. The top 8 teams get the home field advantage. That's the purpose of being there. Then make the other bowl games, start the playoffs a little bit earlier instead of going all the way to February. Start the playoffs a little bit earlier. I know it might conflict with some exams. They always say it conflicts with exam. Exams are done with the first week in December. So what are you doing between that time and January? I remember when I played in the Sugar Bowl, we would come in on December the 21st. I played in 3 Sugar Bowls and 1 Cotton Bowl. We came in on the 21st, which is 10 days before January the 1st. What are you doing in them 10 days? Those days between the 8th and the 21st. You could get a playoff game in there. You might not have anybody on campus, but I guarantee you, if you have a home game, people are going to come.
So would you still keep the conference championship games or get rid of them?
The only way you would have a conference championship game if the top teams are tied, that would be a tiebreaker. But most conferences, you already know who the number 1 team in that conference is. With the SEC, it's kind of like East and West. Same thing with the Big Ten. They have the best team in the Western Conference versus the best team in the Eastern Conference. That's where you might need a conference championship, but both of those teams will be in the playoffs anyway. So would you say I would just take the top 16 teams in the country, period, end of story, and go from that.
Everybody don't play everybody anymore anyway. The conferences are too big.
Yeah.
Texas A&M didn't play any of the top 6 teams in the SEC.
And then the thing that's hurting and everything, going into a different subject, a lot of the bigger schools are now playing like the FCS schools to get a win. I mean, that doesn't serve any purpose. To play be in Alabama and you play North Dakota State, even though if Alabama played North Dakota State, it'd probably be a war. Because they're that good. But you lose. I understand that those teams mean money games, just like being a D2 college when we played Bethune-Cookman, if we played a Tennessee State, those games benefit us because those dollars are trickling down. And now the D2s and the FCSs are really becoming farm clubs for the bigger schools. So it's not even we're recruiting high school kids anymore. You're getting those transfers or drop downs, and then the high school kids are going to the JUCOs and then coming to the 2-year, 4-year colleges, be it Division II, Division I AA. So the picture of football is changing totally. So going back to the original question, I think it needs to be a 16-team playoff. and the top 18 get home field advantage, and then you go from that point.
Okay, anybody can jump on this. It's probably for Cedric. How important is it to get young players in the program? We see, UM secondary got some young guys. That kid Scott, number 0, and a couple other guys. You got some young guys playing in secondary. How important is it to play the young guys?
I feel it's very important, especially being a DB. Like when you get your confidence early, like the main thing from going to level to level is really just what time you find your confidence to be able to get your grounding and know, like, okay, I can play on this level, I can play at this level, So I feel like it's huge to have them young guys that's flourishing, So they got some ballers, like they secondary probably the best that I've seen since.
Ed Reed.
No, they good though. I like watching their secondary play. Like they exciting. Like I feel like they bringing the excitement back to Miami football defense, like the defensive wise, where the offense just got to put up 17. We should be able to beat anybody,
Now,
That's a question, though, Daryl, because one of the things being a young player has its pluses and minuses. Because if you you have to understand, as a freshman coming into college is 17, 18 years old, and you start playing against a guy who's 21, 22, and they get like a DB. I had a DB that I coached at Allen University. He was a freshman. He was pretty good, doggone good player. But then we played against Newberry and some other schools, and the kid got mossed a couple of times. He never got that confidence ever again. Matter of fact, he went in such a shell. I wonder if he ever played football. You have to understand, when kids come out of high school, you're playing against grown-ass men. They've been in that weight room. They've been lifting. When you see guys, when I was at Alabama for the Vanderbilt game, I was an honorary captain. And I looked at some of those jokes, and I'm like, I wonder if I could even play now. Because I felt like I was a smurf amongst them, even though they say, yeah, we can play against them. I got that old man strength. But it's a size differential. It's a mental differential. It's a physical differential. With kids coming out of high school, it's great if that kid can come out and he's a baller. He's gone through a program like St. Thomas or Northwestern, and they've played that type of ball. But not every kid comes from that type of program.
This is what I will say though, like Miami high school football, it ain't the same as everybody else high school football. So it's like even if you go to a smaller level school, you still seeing top competition, like it's a couple programs, but it's players that come out of smaller programs too that don't really compare to the bigger programs. But when you put them on somebody who could be at a larger program, like in a Georgia or a Texas, like they'll still be able to level up when it comes to confidence and skill wise.
We're seeing a lot of things right now with these quarterbacks. Devin, you were a quarterback. We're seeing a lot of things now. These quarterbacks are getting in the portal, getting that money. Here's an example right here. This kid, the Duke quarterback, he's being courted right now by you guys on Sheridan University of Miami. They're trying to get this kid to come in. They've even offered the sister a ride. Quarterback in the NIL game now worth big money. This kid can garner over $6 million at quarterback. Devin, what you think about that? When you didn't get no money like that when you played, Devin, did you?
Nah, nowhere close. It's a double-edged sword, right? Because it's short-term versus long-term vision for the quarterbacks. And again, you can get quick returns with money, but how is it going to cultivate your skill, your character? And again, assuming that you are earning that top, dollar, you are likely, based on your potential, a candidate to be in the NFL. So now, using the example from the Tennessee quarterback, right? He's in the system with the coach that's setting him up for success, right? So you're not getting exposed yet because you got a coach who dialing up the plays. You got athletes around you. So now you're looking like top money for the NFL. So now you got some stats, some things going, and you start chasing the dollar. And now you get into another system with another coach. The culture might not be the same. The scheme might not be the same. You're athletic and talent-wise might not fit what's going on. And now you're exposed before you actually get a chance to get to the NFL and get exposed, right? So when they're making that decision, again, that quick money, is good, but they have to realize I have to go to a place that's still going to maintain who I am to be able to thrive in a different environment. So that Duke quarterback, like I said, he's going there, but how are you going to grow? Because now you're in a different location as well. So NFL minds that's observing what you're doing, they're saying, okay, now you're in a different system. They're going to hold you to an even higher standard, because NFL, from college to NFL, you're switching systems. So now they're seeing that example in real time before you get there. So now if you dial again, if you throttle back, if things are off or you get exposed in certain areas that the previous system was not revealing, now you're losing stock as well. So, I would say really it's a double-edged sword, but if the player's making a decision that's going to put them in the best position as far as development, opportunity, and growth, excellent. Do what you want to do. But remember your culture and where you come from. But if you're making a decision based just off of the dollar, then you're making a blind decision without true vision, and that's going to set you up for possible compromise in your long-term success.
All right, let me show you something. 1981, my senior year, this was the NFL draft right here. The number 1 pick was George Rogers, running back out of South Carolina. The number 2 pick was Lawrence Taylor at linebacker. Number 3 from UCLA was Freeman McNeil. Number 4 was Kenny Easley. Look at who was number 5. E.J. Jr. out of Alabama. EJ, that had to be one of the best classes to come out in a long time. All these guys, they're all pros. What was the money like back then, EJ?
What money? I want reparations.
You were a first round pick, number 5.
But it's amazing how the dollars change. I mean, even with the NIL and the transfer portal and everything like this, my base salary, now this is no joke. My rookie contract, my salary averaged more than Dan Dierdorf, who was a 10-year, 10-time All-Pro player. My base salary was $70,000 my rookie year.
Wow.
The signing bonus I had was $500,000, but I got 70, I got 80, I got 90, and I got 110. That was my first 4 years. That's what my salary was. Back then, you had to have an off-season job. So I worked as a drug and alcohol therapist during the off-season. But the irony of it is when I did not take the signing bonus up front, because you have to defer all that from the time you start in August, when you start getting the per diem, to when you get your first check in September. So now you got 1 quarter of the year to try to put your money in financial plans and things like that, so you don't get taxed the hell out. So think about what these guys are making when they get a $15 million signing bonus and all this other stuff. You got to be able to defer that money so it's not hurting you in the long run. The kids don't play ball like we did. No offense, young guys, but they don't play the ball the way we did back in the day. You can't hit the quarterback now below the legs. We tried to break their neck. I tried to decapitate a lot of them, especially, me and LT had this thing about when we played in the East-West Shrine game. Neil Lomax was the quarterback on the side. We had 9 sacks in the whole game. LT had 4 of them in the first quarter and didn't play anymore. I had 3. Ricky Jackson had 2. So, I mean, we he ended up being the most valuable player of the game, because he played most of the game. And I mean, you saw with the first round one, you don't see on that list Mike Singletary, Keith Van Horn, Ricky Jackson, Russ Grimm, Joe Jacoby. I mean, all those guys. We changed how football was played coming in that 1981 class. Now, we really would be commanding some serious dollars if we came out right now. Had that same kind of playing skill. When you look at guys like Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, and I talked to Ed not too long ago when he was at Morehouse's the final game versus Clark, and talked to him, and he says, "Man, they don't play the game the way we played the game." I says, "No," and it's becoming a glorified 7-on-7. So I really have a lot of praise for these young coaches who coach high school ball, because the physicality of the run is dissipating because everybody wants to throw the ball all over the place. So trying to develop these young cats trying to throw the ball off. You lost how to run the ball, learn how to block, learn how to tackle, and that's what Red Wine was talking about. Tackling is an issue. Even on the pro level, they don't tackle. They think they tackle. They don't tackle. Everybody's trying to knock people down with a shoulder tackle. I got a son who basically will get a chance to possibly play in the league this year. He's 6'3", 228, trying to get down to 220 for his pro day and combine. And I mean, he looked like a Greek god. And every time I see him tackle, his legs go dead. I'm like, man, you better learn how to run through somebody. I said, you try to tackle a guy like the kid from Philadelphia. I says, all you're going to be doing is holding on to his shoes and he's going to disappear on you. You got to wrap up and run through people. You can't knock people down with a shoulder tackle anymore. They think that's going to knock a running back down. No, man, you have to run through some of these cats because when you saw George Rogers and you saw Freeman McNeil on that list, but you forgot who was already in the league. Walter Payton. We had Walter Payton, John Riggins, Tony Dorsett, Wilbur Montgomery. You ain't going to shoulder tackle those jokers and think they're going to go down. Earl Campbell. These are guys I'm playing against. Mm-hmm. So when you see guys like that play like Eddie George, these bigger backs who weigh about 250. I can't think of the guy, the kid that plays with the Baltimore Ravens, Derrick Henry. You ain't gonna tackle them with no shoulder tackle. You better learn how to put them face masks between them bodies. But see, that even gets crazy because now if you hit them just right, now the crown of your helmet is hitting them under the chin, so you're gonna get a penalty. So how are you supposed to hit somebody?
That's my question. My question is to the high school coaches. You got Derry and you got DJ. What do you got? What's the technique that you teach now for tackling and for being aggressive? What's the techniques now?
Our tackle circuit, to be honest, we got a tackling system. We use the rugby rings.
Okay.
We want to start what we call bite the ball. And then we'll go to wrap and roll. Then we go to sweep the ankle. Different things we teach, but it's hard because we preach violence for sure. Violence wins. But yeah, we teach, like I said, we try to bite the ball to keep your head out of the area, using your crown, and then like I said, just really wrapping and rolling. You got to wrap, grab cloth, sweep the ankle, and all that good stuff.
There you got the running back.
Yeah, same thing with what Coach Mayo said. Plus, we start after we do what he just said. We start with inside and red zone, so we coming. We ain't playing no games, so that's what we start off with practice. So we still preach that physicality and violence.
Sir, you played your last couple of games in Canada. The field is so much larger. I think the last time you were on and you was talking about how the guys coming in motion. How different is it for tackling as a DB? You ain't got that. You ain't got that all that size either way.
What you mean? You said size?
You got no size.
I got, I'm high IQ, but Manny Diaz used to tell us cause we did my senior, we did a lot of tackling. He used to tell us, cut their hip off, the upper body don't exist, and you got knives on your shoulder pads. Just knife their thigh with your shoulder pad, and then just squeeze and roll. So that was our tackling style. But I mean, the fit, you just gotta. I feel like tackling is more so just want to, you just gotta have the mindset that just I'm gonna get him on the ground. It's only so much technique you could do until live tackling. When them live bullets fly, it's different. You could tackle, you could practice tackling a lot, but at the end of the day, it's gonna always come down to just that want to.
Okay, Devin, we see the game now so much passing. You got young kids coming out now in middle school learning how to read defenses. What would you teach a kid that's in middle school right now, JV football? What would you teach your quarterback right now?
One of the things when I do work with quarterbacks or get the opportunity or, come into different schools for development, it's really ownership from the quarterback standpoint. You want to elevate your thinking to the level of the coach. And for me, I don't hold a constraint or limitation to say, hey, whether you're in middle school or just getting started in high school, you can't operate in a certain way. You should be able to know every play and call the whole game yourself without a coach. That's the standard that I put on the players. And then also when they're developing, again, working on vision. So, the mindset of, learning and being able to know things as if you're the coach, because many coaches in many systems are ran by the coach, signaling the plays and the quarterback running. So that limits their thinking and their ability to elevate their skill set and execute, because you're depending on the coach. So now quarterbacks are coming out and not reading defenses, not making independent decisions. They're becoming dependent. When you can make the quarterback independent, which I say, hey, yes, your coach is calling the plays and all these different things, but you should know the play he's going to call because you are reading the defense. As a matter of fact, you don't want should be coming to the sideline telling the coach, hey, we need to call this play because, hey, this is what's going on in the field. And one of the little gems that most quarterbacks don't do that I was taught, very early, is during a play, you want to identify yourself in the moment and take a picture. Like I said, it's all about the vision. You want to take a picture, not just the play that's going on, but once you run in the play, especially when you're handing off the ball, but even with the pass, after the main play is executed, you take a mental picture of the field, knowing exactly what's going on, where people are at, where they moved, how they rotate. Because as a coach who's calling an offensive game plan, yes, you're calling a play now, but you're also calling plays to set up plays in the future. So
Right.
when you hand off the ball, you see quarterbacks hand off the ball, just jog up to the sideline or just looking at the play. No, you handing off the ball and you're supposed to be reading the defense. If you handing off the ball, you want to manipulate the defense and read the defense while you're doing it. So now you can come say, hey, this is what we can do next time a few plays later. Hey, coach, this cornerback was cheating. And so we want to come. But those little tweaks of beyond executing a play, I think is the element, I would instill into young quarterbacks early to help them understand, hey, it doesn't matter how young you are. You can remember all these rap songs. You can do everything you want to do. So you can be able to understand, learn, and execute in 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. And oftentimes you look at the NFL, they're not even doing those things, right? And the quarterbacks who are Tom Brady's, it's a difference. So, that's the thing I would execute and instill into a young quarterback is to really have a mindset to learn what the coaches know and become the coach. So the coach is confident in you and the words that you bring back to him during the game as well.
Okay, 24 hours from now, we all will be watching. I want everybody to give me their picks right now. And before I do that, but let's do that now. Derry, what's your pick for tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, I got Miami 24-21. I also want to shout out Miami O-lineman Max Buchanan, played for us at Seminole High School. True freshman, backup guard.
Good. DJ, who you got? You told us already. You got Indiana, right?
31-24.
31-20. See, I'm glad y'all putting these scores out because when we watch this a week from now, we're going to be saying, oh, they was right. Cedric, what you got? You on mute. You're on mute.
I said 35. I like 41-17 Miami.
Woo.
Great flood, baby Jesus.
Hold on. Baby Jesus. Wait a minute. Let me ask you this.
Baby Jesus.
Is the U back? Cedric, is the U back? Are they back?
They said the U is back.
They back?
They back.
Before I go over to EJ and I'm going to tell you something. This young fella right here, you know what that is? That's Mark Cristobal. Do you know in 1986 or 87, I used to do FCA huddles with the University of Miami, and Mark was in my huddle. We used to talk about the Lord. I have to talk about the Lord. When he looked like this back in the day. That's Mark Cristobal. Okay. All right, we're gonna go over to EJ Jr. Talk to us about your pick.
I'm gonna say Miami 35-31.
Oh boy. All right, Devin.
Ooh, okay, I said I'm gonna save it. I heard everybody's conversation, so I'm gonna frame my answer. The teams that stay true to who they are and doesn't try to become something else under pressure is going to be a team that wins. So Miami, I'm going to impose my will. Offensive lineman who's a head coach, and then Indiana, we're going to execute our plan with maturity. And when it comes down to grown men that's been around for so many years and grown men bodies and all that, underdog and we misfits, we come together. That's a lot of built up energy that you just want to release. So I'm gonna have to go with Indiana on this one. Given the score, I'm thinking about 37, 17, 21, 37. I think they're gonna create some separation. I think things not gonna go Miami way with a few plays, and Miami is gonna lose that leverage, and Indiana's just gonna execute, man. That's where I'm going with it. And the Heisman
All right, this is my question. Will this young fella right here get off? They keep calling him Baby Jesus.
He going off, man. Yeah, no doubt.
What's your definition of going off?
And the special team play. And we know his game in the receiver and the slot. Will his special team play make a difference?
Mm-hmm. I feel like in the Natties, the special teams gonna always be like the sleeper. That's gonna be like the sleeper. Everybody want to see the offense and defense, but the real champion is gonna come down to like the special teams play. He dangerous at punt return now. I feel like you just get the ball to him in space. Just pray to baby Jesus.
I think in order for them to win tomorrow, he gotta have over 120 all-purpose yards tomorrow. Got to.
He had to.
What are you losing? If that's hey.
I got a question, Daryl. What's the weather supposed to be like tomorrow? What's the weather supposed to be like tomorrow?
Cedric, what's the weather like down there?
Probably like 65, probably like mid 60s.
Dry.
Okay. Because it's 40 here.
It rained a little bit. So they might get.
They got a whole brand new field. That's a brand new field they put out there. Never been played on before.
Never been.
They
65
tomorrow. They're gonna be straight.
Yeah, nighttime 50 game. Yeah, no rain.
Indiana ain't used to no environment. How they see.
Now think about it. When I was with the Dolphins, and we were playing the Kansas City Chiefs for a playoff game. It was like 80-something degrees, and the Chiefs melted like butter. And that heat. I'm trying to picture Christmas with palm trees with Christmas lights. I'm like, and it's 90 degrees outside. The temperature and the weather can make a difference on how they play the game. And I think because Miami is already acclimated to that weather, sometimes when you come out of a cold weather situation, even though when you're warming up and you're working out in warm weather, it's just like watching the Bears and the Rams now. You got to get acclimated to the weather. And then sometimes it takes a little while. When you go from cold weather to warm weather, your blood thickens, so your legs get tired faster. It creates a conditioning problem.
It's only going to be 64 tomorrow. They're going to be
only 64.
Indiana going to be all right.
All right. Now I'm going to go with my pick right now. Y'all know I lived in South Florida for 35 years. I'm a Wildcat and I'm a Cane too. But I'm going to go with the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. I'm going to go with Indiana because I just think that their offense and the way they move the football and the way they play, the aggressive, I think they're going to be a little bit too much for the Canes in the second half. I really do. I want Miami to win a national championship, but I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow night. I really don't. I'm going with Indiana. Sorry, Cedric. I'm going with Indiana. But the Heisman Trophy, when he went to Heisman for no reason, man, this kid could play. He's out of Miami. I think he got a couple of receivers. I think he got a kid. Here's a kid that nobody talks about. Let me show you this kid here. Mr. Pond. Nobody talks about D'Angelo Pons, number 5, number 6 or 5 for the Hoosiers. This kid is another baby Jesus. He can play too. So there's some talent on both sides. I think I mentioned earlier. Let's see if I can find it. I mentioned earlier the number of players from South Florida in this game for both teams. That's a lot of kids out of the 305 and Palm Beach area that's playing in the national championship. That shows what Cedric said. It's a different brand of football in South Florida. Different brand. All these kids, you got kids from the EU and kids from Indiana. Indiana kind of come out of nowhere. They had Michael Penix a few years. I was trying to get Michael Penix to come on the podcast. He said he was too busy, but they've had a good football program the last couple of years, but the majority of their kids are from where? Florida. They're from Florida. Yep. All right. Parting words. DJ, what you got for me? You know, you can talk about your team, anything. What you got for me before you get out of here?
Grovetown High School will be in the playoffs next year.
Okay. Derek, what you got for us? You know, you got kids in the NFL, Horn. You got a lot of guys in the NFL you coach. Okay, what you got for us?
Not much, man. Getting back to the grind. We didn't have the year we want. Didn't have a quarterback this year, but Seminole High School beats Columbus in the state championship this year coming up.
Okay. Devin, Dr. Devin, what you got for us?
Well, I'm excited to watch this game tomorrow, but looking at the quarterback play and being a quarterback, it just puts me in my element. So working with athletes and teams and that leadership and mindset, helping them get those frameworks to be bigger and better, and seeing that on display tomorrow to see how that journey of the Indiana quarterback compares to the high level transferring of Carson Beck. It's going to be interesting to see, but I'm going to take some notes at the game tomorrow. Might have to have some of my words replayed back and say, you thought this way, but it turned out that way. So I'm excited to see, but, just using it as a learning experience as well to help others in the future generation get better.
Last time I saw this guy, we were in the tunnel at Municipal Stadium in Daytona Beach. He was at Clark, Atlanta, and they upset the Wildcats that day. My goodness, they upset the Wildcats for that day. That's EJ, myself, and my boy Charlie Bethune. EJ, you're still coaching, and you're stuck up in Atlanta. And I want to, first of all, before I give you a chance to say the thing, I want to commend you for being my prayer partner for over 20 years. Every morning, this guy sends me something. He might miss a day here and there when they're traveling or whatever, but EJ, you've been a mainstay at the Bethel Church. When Shirky was a little boy at the Bethel Church running around there. But you've always been a mainstay in my life. I remember meeting you at the Dolphin training camp, and then you ended up coming to church. And, we've done a lot of ministry, men's ministry, kids ministry. I just want to say you're a true man of God, brother.
Well, thank you, D. It's been a pleasure. Like I said, we're going into transition. Just hired Terry Sims to be our head coach, and we'll see what the future holds for me under his leadership, if I'm still here or not. But one of the things I want to tell you young coaches and continue to bless each one of you, you are basically, your ministry are those kids, to try to build them to be the head of their household, be that father figure, that male figure who is the foundation of that household, and continue to keep your eyes on the prize. As long as you focusing on God, you ain't got to worry about the troubles that's on the ground. So you'll always be able to walk on water where Jesus did, because you continue to pour into young people's lives.
Appreciate it.
You played for Bear Bryant back when a lot of us didn't play for Alabama. What was one of the reasons make you go to Alabama?
At first, I wasn't going to go to Alabama, but it took Coach Brown for me to come to Alabama because that was a period of time of racism. I remember George Wallace standing on the steps at the University of Alabama said, a black man will never walk on this campus. But it was just something about Coach Brown when he called my mother, who's a retired principal 3 times over. She looked over them glasses and said, "You're going to talk to this man." I'm like, okay, what is this man going to tell me? And he says, "EJ, I know you heard some good things about Alabama. I know you heard some negative things about Alabama." He says, "But 2 things I'm going to promise you." I said, "What's that, Coach?" He says, "You come to Alabama, you're going to get a quality education." Now, I got a 3.98 GPA and a 32 on my ACT. I can get a good education anywhere. I didn't say that out loud, but I said that to myself. I said, "Well, what's the other thing, Coach?" He says, "If you come to Alabama, I'm going to work your tail off." He didn't promise me I would be All-American. He promised I'd be All-SEC. He didn't even promise I would even play. He just challenged my work ethic. And I think that was one of the things that got my attention. He was a mentor. That mentor was a philosopher. That philosopher was a father figure. That father figure was just what we needed in a time of change at the University of Alabama to bring more black athletes there. I think when he first brought Willie Selby there as one of the first African-American players, he was trying to bring black players there. They had got their butts beat by Southern Cal. And he told me that story in his office. And the one thing I learned, to be a leader, sometimes you got to take a different type of road to get the results that you want. So I'm grateful. I had great coaches, Sylvester Kroon, who ended up being the first black head coach at Mississippi State. Ken Donahue, our D coordinator. I not only played for Bear Bryant, I played for Mike Don Shula, Gene Stallings, and Tom Flores. So I played under some great coaches who I've learned and took a lot of their teaching styles, and I try to teach players that way today.
Okay, we know tomorrow is a special day. It's a holiday, and I don't mean no disrespect, but it is Martin Luther King Day. Martin Luther King Day. Got some canes over here. I don't mean no disrespect to Martin. Let me tell you a quick story. In 1975, I think, I was in the NAACP here in Daytona Beach, and I went to a youth NAACP convention in Memphis, Tennessee. I always wanted to go to Memphis State because I went to Memphis and I went on their campus and I fell in love with it. But I was there with Dexter King. Dexter and the other little boy, and I played basketball with them guys. And we talked about his dad and talked about wanting to live a normal life. But tomorrow we're gonna honor Dr. Martin Luther King. I'm out of time. Never, ever, ever am I out of sports. This has been a great show, great knowledge. You've been watching the locker room. Good night.
Good night.
Everybody salute.
Great show, guys. I'm gonna send everybody to this show. Devin, good stuff, man. I'm gonna do some more stuff with you, man. All right?
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it. Appreciate everybody.
Hey, Derry, another good show, Derry.
Thank you.
DJ, good stuff, man. And EJ, thank you, man. Send me something in the morning. I'll be waiting.
All right.
All right, man. Good night.
Blessings. All right.